I am Marwan Cameron, and this is the Conduit. All right, y'all, it is Friday. Well, it's November 26th. It's Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. Many of you are probably out there shopping. I haven't done any shopping myself yet. I have been looking around, trying to see if there's actually anything that's worth getting, or am I getting baited into saying I need this when it's just a want. But I do have, I am taking a look at some cameras for the studio that are pretty awesome. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully you all had a good Thanksgiving. I did. Unfortunately, though, I was in Federal Way, had a good time. Dropped my wallet in the street and got a call this morning, and my friend said, "Hey, my neighbor came and said, I think someone dropped your wallet." So credit cards, driver's license, everything are all in there. So I'm definitely thankful for that, because that easily could have been an issue. So if you've ever lost your wallet and had to cancel all your credit cards and your debit cards, and it's a pain, man. It's a pain. So to not have to do that is good. I don't know how I didn't recognize that I didn't have it. You know, I have no idea. Thank you for that, Mr. Dent. Yeah, but I'm glad that it turned up, because man, that's a whole lot of pain. That's a lot to go through. You know what I'm saying? And you got to wait. And then if I did want to buy something for Black Friday, that could have been a problem. What was I going to do then? So I'm thankful for that. But yeah, we were trying to figure out, it's the holiday time. So originally I wasn't even going to do a show. And so I had reached out to Sal and I said, "Hey, Sal, it's Friday. We're going to jump on here." And he was like, "Well, I mean, we can." I got to like 8:30. So I'm like, "All right, well, it'll take me till like 8 o'clock to get this thing going." So, but we wanted to jump on here and just kind of talk about some of the current events. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it and then get into some local things. I actually really considered going on last night based on the news that, that hit me yesterday, that I definitely want you to be informed about. Because there's all kinds of stuff that's going on, right? You never really can take a rest. You can never really take a minute, because there's always something going on. But the first one is kind of national news, as you know. Last week was the trial from Wisconsin. And now we have the Ahmaud Arbery case that has come to a conclusion. So just wanted to play that and give some commentary on that on the other side. Let's go ahead and do that.
Count 1, malice murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty.
A string of guilty verdicts.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Greg McMichael, guilty.
For the 3 men involved in the killing of Ahmaud Arbery.
Guilty.
Moments later, celebration and relief sweeping through the crowd of hundreds. Those who've lived through a lifetime of discrimination, sensing a watershed moment.
I might be crying, but believe me, I'm happy.
The jury rejecting the defense team's claims of citizens' arrest and self-defense arguments after the pursuit and shooting of an unarmed Ahmaud Arbery. The prosecution team had pushed back hard on those arguments.
I wanted to make sure that the jury understood that the self-defense case was absolute garbage.
They handed down guilty verdicts on 23 of 27 possible counts. The shooter, Travis McMichael, convicted on all charges, including malice murder. His father, Gregory, who drove the truck, found guilty of felony murder and aggravated assault. And for neighbor William Roddy Bryan, the same. He helped to pin Arbery with his vehicle and film the video used in court.
Your client was convicted of murder. Your reaction?
We're very disappointed with the verdict.
All 3 now face life in prison. Arbery's mother had waited for this moment since her son was murdered last February.
I never thought this day would come. He will now rest in peace.
President Biden in a statement saying the verdicts reflect the justice system doing its job, and Vice President Harris praising the jury despite a defense that she says dehumanized a young black man with racist tropes.
It shows America that justice can be served.
Now, renewed hope in Georgia that this verdict will be the start of a new chapter, pushing back on prejudice.
We have justice for Ahmaud, for not just our family, but for this community.
You will recall that the murder happened in February of 2020. And guys, it took months of pressure from the Arbery family. Also, video of the shooting that went viral in May to accelerate the investigation. The original DA in this case was indicted by a grand jury for how she handled it. She has denied misconduct. Craig and Chanel?
Yeah, 74 days before there was
what he was saying there was 74 days
an arrest made. Hey, Sam,
before there was an arrest made in that particular case. So, you know, a lot of high profile cases being wrapped up right now in our judicial system. What do you think about the outcome of this case? I think we have to look at them separately, but we can also compare and contrast, both of the, high level court cases that made the news. I think there was a lot of corruption, a lot of racism going on, a lot of cover up that was happening right from the beginning. And it's always very frustrating when, quote unquote, justice is served in the sense that is what many people are feeling right now in this case, but it does not do anything to address, the elephant in the room, right? And the elephant in the room is, hey, how do we get here in the first place? Why does the judicial system work in this way? Why is it continued to be so broken that they could allow these men to go 74 days without a charge, where there was the cover up that was happening? And if you've watched any of the case, yes, they definitely dehumanized Ahmaud Arbery. The closing remarks were particularly despicable, and the things that they said. I should see if I can pull that up for you. In both cases, one thing that I thought was interesting in Ahmaud Arbery's trial, at the end, they definitely dehumanized him in the things that they were saying, right? And in the Wisconsin case, they dehumanized the victims, and they couldn't even be called victims. Right or wrong, they were killed, right? Whether you believe it was self-defense or not, they were killed. I thought that was, I think that's pretty interesting. Let me, I did find this piece here. Let me go ahead and play that because many of you may not have heard this, but it's pretty nasty. It's pretty nasty.
It's a verdict in the Ahmaud Arbery trial in Georgia. There is backlash today over a comment that left a gasp in the courtroom. It happened when a defense lawyer said this about the slain jogger.
In his khaki shorts, with no socks to cover his long, dirty toenails.
Arbery's mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, stormed out of the courtroom, and today she's denouncing the lawyer's remarks.
It was very, very disturbing. I thought it was very, very rude to talk about his long, dirty toenails and to totally neglect that my son had a huge hole in his chest where he was shot with that shotgun.
Was so cruel and so inappropriate and really irrelevant to what is happening in this case.
Is she trying to make the case that because he has dirty toenails and long toenails, apparently, too, that he's not really a runner?
You were there in the courtroom when this toenails comment was made. What was the reaction from Ahmaud Arbery's mother?
There was a gasp behind me from several members of Ahmaud Arbery's family. The mother of Ahmaud Arbery, she could not believe what she heard. She said, "I've got to get out of here." And she quickly, almost tripping over the legs of people, walked out of the courtroom. And it was just a moment where you could tell that those words hurt her deeply.
The father and son and their neighbor, who say they tried to make a citizen's arrest of Arbery, are putting up a self-defense claim like Kyle Rittenhouse.
It happened like this.
The case went to the jury today.
All right, so we know what happened in the verdict there. I just wanted to play that for you. For those that didn't hear that, what does his toenails have to do with what happened? And so that's that dehumanization that happens to many Black folks consistently in the court system. What is the point in that? Now, I hear there's already talk of an appeal by all three. So, of course, we'll need to stay tuned on that and see what comes of that. But right now, all three were convicted. And again, my concern is, you know, as people are celebrating a verdict, which again, you can do, you know, all the underlying systemic issues that exist continue to thrive. And so it's very hard to see this as a win. It's like, oh, well, they got this one right. Well, maybe they got Wisconsin wrong. Well, maybe they got Wisconsin right. But when you look at jury selection, when you look at behaviors of the judges, when you look at behaviors of the prosecutors, let's compare that to the guy who ran down the parade watchers and killed a bunch of folks. You know, Rittenhouse was, or Rittenhour, whatever his last name is, was protected, right? His information wasn't released immediately. 74 days before these three men were arrested. But you had everything on the Black guy that ran over the parade goers. And there's even a larger commentary there, because his folks are saying that it was an accident. Now, whether you believe that or not, right? He's due his day in court, just as all of these white men were. And so GoFundMes were set up. And for the Black guy, not only was it taken down, but the person that created it has now been banned from setting up another GoFundMe effort. Now, how does that work? See, those are the systemic things that persist. And then when you have both sides making this argument against, oh, well, we don't want to teach true American history and we'll hide behind CRT. When you can say, oh, well, you know what it is? It's this woke culture, which is now being labeled as a Black thing. Right? Progressive Democrats are causing the Democratic Party to lose because they are too, quote unquote, woke. And so they need to turn away from, you know, identity politics if they want to win. Well, you already know how I feel about the Democratic Party. But what does that say? That You can't run on issues that are real, that are persistent, pervasive, corrosive. What do you say to that? And I think, Democrats are going to have a hard time in the midterm elections for sure. I mean, Biden and Harris have some pretty horrible polling right now. And things are getting worse. They're actually not getting better. And I wanted to wait until Monday, but man, I couldn't. There was no way to, because just as I've been saying, every Monday, we've got a new variant coming out of South Africa. Our numbers are up, right? Here we go.
Discovered in South Africa. It's now been detected in other countries, and new travel restrictions are being implemented around the world. Lama Hassan joins us now from London with the latest. Lama, good morning.
And good morning to you. Global cases of this new variant are on the rise. Infections now identified in Hong Kong, Israel, and Belgium. Scientists sounding the alarm on this variant, which they say is the most heavily mutated variant discovered so far. They worry it could evade vaccines and could be more transmissible. This morning, the UK instituting an emergency travel ban on 6 southern African countries where the variant was first identified.
So the most mutated. So more mutated than Delta. Delta Plus didn't seem to really kind of take off. The Mu variant that I talked about maybe about a month ago didn't really seem to take off. I think they're calling this one Omicron. So this thing has jumped the shark, right? And it happens every single time. It's like we just don't freaking learn. I get it. We're exhausted. We're COVID fatigued. We want to get back to our regular lives. But you can look at it, and I'm gonna show you just our local Kitsap County numbers after this. The holiday comes up, we have a lag, and then here come the numbers. I believe right now the numbers are up in 39 states. And the problem is that we've opened up our international travel, right? So some people don't have to be tested. Some people may not show signs, even though they did test before they got on the plane. Kids didn't have to be tested or receive the vaccine. And they're saying that, oh, this may not, the vaccine may not work on this thing. So is it just a matter of time before it gets here? Right? Because it started in 6 African nations, right? Who have been traveling all over the place. And 2 weeks ago, I showed you a video from the news where folks were so excited. They were like crying because they were going to be able to come from the UK to the United States to, meet their, I think it was their son-in-law for the first time. So here we go. Here we go again, right? And this is just the new variant that hasn't even gotten here yet. Our numbers are up just from the Delta variant, which I'll get to in a minute. Let's get back to this.
Israel and Singapore also introducing travel restrictions overnight. The EU saying it's planning to follow suit. Now today, the World Health Organization holding an emergency meeting and could designate this variant as either one of interest or one of concern. The global markets reacting this morning with stocks taking a hit. Whit.
And Lama, news of this is coming as some European nations are implementing new restrictions as well.
Yeah, that's right. Europe, now the epicenter as a fourth wave is sweeping across much of the continent with a big surge in COVID cases. Germany, one of the countries hardest hit, is recording more than 100,000 deaths since the pandemic began. And the World Health Organization is warning of a further 700,000 COVID deaths in Europe by March if current trends hold. Now, both Austria and Slovakia have entered lockdowns. France is ramping up their booster shot campaign, and Portugal and Italy are tightening restrictions requiring people be vaccinated to go to social activities, even in areas considered low risk for COVID. Now, the Netherlands reintroducing mask mandates in stores and ordering bars and restaurants to close at 8 p.m. This is a stark reminder that we are not out of the woods yet. Whit.
Absolutely, Lama. Thank you.
My question would be this for those of you that just feel like, hey, no real big deal here, nothing to see. This is just like the flu. Even if you're feeling like this is somehow a conspiracy theory, my thought on that is, you know, we don't get along locally, let alone internationally. And so now all of these countries are gonna conspire together and cause all this civil unrest and all these issues. To what end? I don't think it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense to me. And if it was a population control thing, my thought on that is, well, who do you think they would want to get rid of? Like truly, if they need to get rid of 2 or 3 billion people, who do they need to get rid of? Do they want to keep the 2 or 3 billion or there's about 8 billion people on the planet right now. So let's say they want to reduce it by 3 billion people. Do they want the 5 billion that's left to be the ones that fought against the government? That was causing all this trouble all over the place? Or they want the sheeple, as you would say, to be compliant and do whatever the government says and to go along and go along to get along? And again, I'm well aware of, the history of the medical world, especially against Black folks, even currently. But worldwide? And then they want all the fighters to be the ones that survive, all the ones that don't take the vaccine. Those are going to be who they're left with. How are they going to control those people? I'd love for someone to give me an answer to that. I may actually invite some folks up that kind of feel, a different way on that, because I think the concerns are valid and we should have those conversations for sure. But it's like, make it make sense. They want folks to be compliant. They want people to listen, do what they say, do what they're told. And so what you're saying is, oh no, that's not it at all. We want people that are going to fight us. They're not going to wear the mask. They're not going to get the vaccine. They're going to march and not go to work, especially if there are our firefighters, our police, our first responders, our military, our doctors. No, we don't want them to. We want them to fight, not come to work. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm trying to be open-minded. I am. But let's go ahead and look at these local numbers. Thank you for that, Rob. The Omicron variant. It makes me think of Transformers. So again, this is the data dashboard, and you can just type in Kids at Public Health, and if you just scroll down here, you can look at all the information. Right here's COVID-19 vaccination in Kitsap, protect your health, resources here in Spanish. You can book your COVID appointment. And I just clicked on that. And then here are the data dashboards. You can look at outbreak information. So I'm just going to click on that. And that gives you kind of where the outbreaks were and what happened, right? But we don't want to go there. We're going to go to the dashboards here. And so you can look at the case demographics by age, race, ethnicity, and language. And these are updated every Thursday. And so let's just take a look at that. So this was updated yesterday. And as you can see, percentages of cases by age group of all time. Just going to scroll down here. And you can see cases per 100,000 in the past 4 weeks by race and ethnicity. Blue is Hispanic, Latinx. Orange is non-Hispanic, non-white. And red is non-Hispanic, white. So you can kind of see those numbers here. And as I said, right, we had this massive spike here in May, or this is like what, August, comes down. We get a little bit of a spike here. October 3rd goes down. This is Halloween. 2 weeks later, here we go. Here's the spike. We got Thanksgiving and all that good stuff in here. We go down. Doesn't really come down too far. We go back up because this is Christmas, right? Now we get that lag again, and it finally goes down, and then it comes back up here. This is May. Starting to get summery, get warmer. People are starting to get back together. Goes down, and then we come back up here in September. We're going back to school, right? So we're just watching this thing. We know what it does. We have historical data now. And this is the thing that frustrates me, you know? And this is how it's broken down by age. But let me show you another one here. Oops. I got so much information on here. All right, I lost my page. Let me go back. It's at public health. So I'm just clicking on it right there. I go down, go ahead and click on the middle there, and then I'm going to go ahead and look at the data dashboards, right? And again, all of this is updated Thursday. So this was updated yesterday. And what I want to look at here are hospitalizations, deaths, and ages of hospitalization and deaths there. And then here, cases, testing, outbreaks, and vaccination status of cases. So let's go ahead and click on that one there. All right. So what are we seeing here? We're just looking at the graph. Now, think about this. When everything started to shut down back in March of 2020, right? We were starting to test, or we were discovering it, right? Now we're testing and doing all that. Look how high this hit, September 11th. Right? That's pretty high. We come down October 2nd, October 9th, October 16th. We're coming down. There's Halloween, and boom, here we go. Back on the uptick. Back on the uptick. Cases per 100,000 in the past 7 days. Okay. Here again. So look at our lows right here. July 2nd, right before the 4th of July. And then, of course, what happens after the 4th? Pow, right? Just shoot straight up. But look at that. We're not even coming back down. And so if we're this infectious now, if Omicron makes it into Kitsap County, what is going to happen to our numbers? Especially if the vaccine isn't as effective or effective at all against this new strain. The kids miss school, right? Of course, worst case scenario is people die. The second worst case scenario are long haulers, people that are experiencing symptoms long after. And I haven't had a conversation with the audience yet, but I was at the doctor last week, and I may actually be experiencing some long haul effects of COVID. And unfortunately, they can't tell you when it's going to get better or if it's going to get better. And for me, what's scary is I was vaccinated and had a breakthrough um, episode of COVID. So I got my booster last week, as you saw on Facebook. But this is pretty scary. But this is what I really want folks to take note of here, right? So let's look at the differences between vaccinated and unvaccinated. So, a lot of folks will say, well, what's the point? If you get vaccinated and you can get COVID anyway, then I might as well just not get vaccinated since I can just get it. Well, here's the reason why, right? From 12 to 29, fully vaccinated, 36 people, right? But if you're unvaccinated, 157. It's like 5 times, 4.5 times more likely that you're going to get COVID if you're unvaccinated. 30 to 49, this is the age range I'm in. 62, if you're fully vaccinated, right? I'd be in that 62. 329 if you're unvaccinated. Again, 50 to 69, 3 times as much, right? Fully vaccinated, 52, unvaccinated, 144. And over 70, less than 2 times. I think that's important. Look at the past 6 months, right? 30 to 49, my age range, I am 4 times less likely to get COVID because I'm vaccinated versus if I'm unvaccinated. For me, that makes the decision for me, right? For me. But no one talks about these numbers on TV. They just say, oh, the hospitals are filled with folks that are that have COVID, and the majority of them are unvaccinated. But if you want transparency, tell the people the percentage, give them the numbers of folks that are unvaccinated versus vaccinated that are being hospitalized. I mean, you need to reestablish trust. Look at these numbers here, right? Look at the unvaccinated there. Look at the vaccinated here. Same time. Look at that. I would much rather be here. This is almost flat during this time here. Flat. Get a slight bump here, right? When school goes back. These are the current outbreaks, 27 for the week ending November 13. And as you can see, I mean, that's pretty high. Let's just kind of go across here. Here's 31. So this is back in May, right? Wintertime, 39. When we go to 27, this was November 13. Let's see if we can find that. Here's November 14, 28. We're in the exact same place we were last year. It's like we're not learning. Just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. So that's what I'm concerned about. Here's some hospitalizations and deaths. So here, if you're between the ages of 12 and 59, if you're fully vaccinated, there's 1.2 deaths. And if you're unvaccinated, 15. So you're 14 times more likely to die from COVID if you get it, if you're unvaccinated. Full stop. For our grandparents, for some of our parents, fully vaccinated, almost 7 deaths. But if you're unvaccinated, 4 times. 4 times likely to die if you get COVID and you're unvaccinated if you're 60 and over. And as we can see right now, we're looking at 5%, right? Percentages of cases hospitalized per month, 5% of cases. We dipped down in July to 4. Then, of course, we had the 4th of July, so there's a little bit of a lag. We got to 5. We shot up. And here we are back at 5%. So is this our new normal? Well, we can't even say that now because this new variant. I was talking about resiliency the other day. And what I was saying about resiliency is are we truly resilient or are we just dealing with it? You know, we forget about the pain. We forget about how bad things are. I relate it to a woman's cycle. Cycle comes on, she starts feeling really bad. I know a lot of folks that have some really bad cycles. I mean, debilitating. Then when they get to the other side, everything's all good. And it ramps up. And there's quite a few of my friends who seem to have forgotten about the 28 days ago when it was so horrible. Didn't prep for it or get ready for it, you know, and it just hits. And it's like, oh, I forgot all about how bad this was. I think that's an appropriate analogy for that. We forget about how bad it is when there was so much uncertainty and the death toll was, well, I think we're still like 1,000 a day. But we're so used to it now. It's like, oh, yeah, it is what it is. We're used to it. But these are still lives and families that are being impacted. You know, they were saying, just as a side, one of the states was talking about if you're a drunk driver and you kill a parent, then you would owe child support because that parent is no longer there to provide for the child. I thought that was an interesting law. And so here, for those that are not wanting to be vaccinated or not keep themselves away from folks knowing that they're sick themselves, and they get someone sick and they kill them, should they have to pay child support to support that family because they've killed their breadwinner? It's a heavy thought. Anyhow, please check these things out. We'll be back on Monday to have our conversation, all things COVID. But with the new Omicron variant, and you can see how fast this goes, right? It's like it's quiet, and then all of a sudden, it's boom. I actually heard about the new variant in South Africa, I think 2 days ago. And then yesterday, either yesterday or the day before, all of a sudden, Europe was taking action. And then new cases were being discovered in other countries outside of Africa. And it's like, now it's too late, right? It's there now. We're fighting from behind. There's a lag. And so when the news finally reports it out, it's already out of control. And I gotta say, it's a blessing that I lost my wallet, because I probably would have been out there trying to do some Black Friday shopping, thinking about others, but ultimately putting myself at risk and putting others at risk. So losing my wallet is probably the best thing that could have happened. All right, y'all, be safe out there. The weekend is yet to come. It's only Friday night. It's early too. So you still got Saturday and Sunday. There's still gonna be a lot of sales to entice you into the stores. Stay protected. Use your hand sanitizer. Maybe have a mask or two. If you can avoid it, go online. Just ain't worth it. Just material things, y'all. All right, I am Marwan Cameron. This is The Conduit. We will catch you next time.